Hey, y'all. Welcome in season 4 of LaRae Infinity Let's Talk podcast. I know I'm so excited.
Yes.
We're doing it. We've been recording. We're in season. And as you know, LaRae Infinity Let's Talk podcast is all about women telling their unapologetic stories the way they want to tell them in their own time and own words. And that's just not in the words, but the actions. So you pick the topics, I'm asking you questions, and we're sitting here and I'm celebrating because I don't think that there's like a real way to be an actual human all the time.
Yeah.
So I want to welcome in my guest. I'm going to have her introduce herself and we're going to get started.
Hello, everybody. My name is LaShanna Moore. I am the fierce and fabulous 46 years old. My zodiac sign is Taurus.
Ooh.
And today I am letting you in on my world. And you're listening to the LaRae Infinity Let's Talk podcast, season 4, the dynamics of women.
Women. Yeah, all that stuff. So welcome in. I'm excited to have you.
LaGina.
And
thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm excited about you and your story, but I have to go back to how I met you.
Right.
How did I meet you?
Myra Shaw.
Myra Shaw,
Big
season
ups to
2.
Myra. It was her rest retreat. Well,
yes.
I don't know if we met,
Yeah.
but that's when we first saw each other at least.
Yeah, and I knew you before that because, you know, you're a wellness. I knew of you.
Okay,
and so
gotcha.
knowing of you feels like I
Yes.
know you.
Gotcha.
But during the rest retreat, you definitely were dropping the gems. And I was like,
Thank
this is a
you.
very interesting human. And then when I was looking for people for, I'm working on a project with Harris County Public Library. And it's all around communication and experiencing culture and everything.
Right.
Myra was like, LaShanna. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And then I found out all this stuff about you. So we're going to dive into it.
Okay.
And I'm really excited about it. We were talking about tribe earlier, and I'm just honored to be a part of the gang. I call y'all the gang.
Pew, pew, pew,
But, you know, Myra and Franca were like, the first time I met him, I was like, y'all are like the aunties in Houston. And they were looking at me like, bitch. But like,
Pretty
it's a
much,
thing.
though.
So I'm excited to be like the young member in the auntie gang.
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
And so
Yes.
you have this amazing story. But before we dive in, I want to play a game with you. It's called Let's Talk Fast. So yeah,
right.
everybody, we gotta
get
sit
ready.
up, get ready.
Position myself.
Do you need to sip a little wine?
Not yet.
Okay, I am.
Should I grab? Then we know.
Okay. Should I grab? Then we know. Shout out to the Esperson building. So our podcast studio this year is the Esperson building here in historic downtown Houston, right? And then, of course, Share Me Wine always hooks us up with the libation. So this is super cool.
This is wonderful.
Thank you.
So proud of you. If I can say that before we begin.
Yes.
So proud of
Thank
you.
you.
Everything today has just been an excellence, and it's who you are. And so just to see this and what season 4 has in store, I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. We're ready.
Yes.
Because it's dynamic.
Yes.
And it's women.
And it's women.
So let's talk fast. I'm going to say a word. You're going to spit out whatever comes to mind. And let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk. Hey, y'all. I just want to give you the heads up. There is definitely cursing, adult content, and there will be triggers in this episode as we look at and celebrate the journeys and the walks of women. All right. So when we think about Let's Talk, it really started from this place of the fact that I wanted a podcast that is focused on all women in all walks of life and how we're growing and how we're navigating and impacting the world that we live in.
Yeah.
And then when you think about it, telling our untold story, right? And I think we're in a really cool time in society where a lot of women are able to tell their stories.
Yeah.
But what's the untold part, right? That's going to help the next person.
Exactly.
Or the part that you almost are comfortable with talking about, but you're not there yet. Those things.
Yeah.
Because the rise of woman is what I call it and what I've been calling it over the last years. But I really see it. The rise of woman is not just a story of loss or growth or triumph, but it's of inspiration and fabulous failures and everything in between.
Yeah.
So I just want to dive in and have a girlfriend talk about it.
Let's do it.
Okay, cool. So I just want to let's start with how you grew up.
Okay.
And your family dynamics.
Cue my background music, please.
Ooh,
my mood lighting.
That was a bad
but you were quick with it though. My upbringing, I was born in Arkansas, a very small town, El Dorado, Arkansas. If you blink, you literally have passed through it. I was raised in Texas, however, mother and father and an older brother, and very conservative family. When I tell you extremely humble beginnings, from probably a 4-room house to a trailer home, and just a gradual climb from there. My parents were big educators in their own right. In terms of making sure that my brother and I really learned life.
Yeah.
What I thought was unique about that, though, is that my daddy is a clergyman.
Oh.
Yeah, my dad is a minister.
So, like, you're technically a PK.
I am all of a PK.
Okay.
Yes. But what I think my experience different from a lot of PKs that I know was my dad was a big liver. He's a big intellectual. And he was big on making sure that we thought through everything. Ooh. So he encouraged us to really dig deep in whatever aspect of life we were intrigued by. And also, he never gave answers, like asking advice and stuff like that. He would not give it. Now, my mother would.
Yeah.
Complete opposite people. But he would never give answers. He would just kind of help you navigate.
Interesting.
So I think I had a different experience in terms of my PK life versus a lot of my friends and counterparts. That's really the big picture of my upbringing. Very, very humble. We worked. We learned, life values. We went through our stuff.
What kind of work did you do?
My first job.
And
Still
what
proud
age?
to this day. As soon as I was legally able, which was 16 then, minimum wage was $4.25.
Ish. Okay. Still more than service industry at $2.13 right now.
In 2023.
Let's not talk about it.
That's another conversation.
Whole another conversation.
But it was Chuck E. Cheese.
Really?
Yes.
Chuck E. Cheese, where a kid can be a kid.
Where a kid can be a kid. It used to be Showbiz. Now, I am dating myself, so I don't know if
Chuck E. Cheese was Showbiz?
Yes.
Okay.
Before it became Chuck E. Cheese, it was, and he wasn't a mouse. Was it Showbiz featured a mouse? I can't remember. But it was called Showbiz Pizza Place.
Okay.
But Chuck E. Cheese was my first job. And I will tell you, LaGina, that there's stuff that I still remember to this day.
Like what?
That I learned. Customer service.
Yeah.
Customer, you always listen. Attitude, being a part of what makes an environment friendly and fun. Hosting, I learned by doing, hosting the party.
People don't understand these origins.
It was a lot of rich experience and nuggets working at my first job. That was like 1990.
1990 on the year of not so 1990. What is now Chuck E. Cheese, where a kid can be a kid.
Where a kid can be a kid.
This is where your origin story comes
foundation.
From. Are you the middle? Where do you lie?
I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest of
two.
Of two.
Yes.
Okay.
Just the two.
And so growing up, did anything that stands out to you happen in your adolescent years?
Yeah, probably just my personality. So I was I was the complete opposite of who I am now.
Okay.
I was very shy. I was very fearful. I asked my mom one time, Mom, were you depressed carrying me? Because I remember as a child, I was just afraid of everything.
What is it, womb trauma? Or like?
Well, she said no. She was like, no, because my mother wasn't supposed to have children anyway.
Oh.
So then when they found that I was a girl, they already had their boy. She was like, I was very happy. So I don't know where it started. It started from somewhere, but I was a very fearful kid. I was a kid that, thought that there were snakes under the bed, monsters in the closet, head under the covers, shaking and crying.
You were scary.
Just scared about any and everything.
Yeah.
Pleading with God, please don't ever let my parents die. Like I was that child, So what was unique about the pivot in that was probably at 4. Yeah, right around at 4, my mother enrolled me in a dance class. Because I was unable to function, and I couldn't function without her. So she was my comfort blanket, and so she knew that if she didn't do something with me to help me develop, and learn how to navigate the world and deal with people, that I was going to be a special mess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she enrolled me in my first dance class at 4, and it changed my world.
What kind of dance was it?
My first 3 classes were jazz, ballet, and tap.
And you remember it? And
I remember.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you remember coming out of your shell and stuff?
I do. I remember gradually emerging out of my shell. I remember one time a dance teacher after class waiting on my mom to pick me up. And she came up to me. And mind you, I'm not the child out of the 2 of us, my brother and I, that remembers a lot. My brother has like his satellite memory.
Yeah,
he remembers
total recall.
I'm like, how can you remember that?
My sister would have too.
Right?
I'd be like, what?
Yeah, my brother's like that. So there's some things that I don't recall like that, but I remember these things. And I remember a dance teacher coming to me after class. She said, "You really love to dance, don't you?" And I was like, "Yes, ma'am." And I always remember that and how it just started helping me across the board and everything, being able to make eye contact with people, not being intimidated, because I would cry if you stared at me too long. Like I didn't have any sense of stability within my body.
Were you frustrating to your parents, do you think?
At some point, I'm sure I had to be.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure they were concerned. My mom saw what needed to be done with me. It may have probably also encouraged my father to parent the way that he did.
Yeah, exploratory.
Right, definitely. Because if not, I would have been just a robotic kid, checking boxes and not really feeling my way through life, being sensible, being able to comprehend and, understand deduction and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sure at some point they had concern. But I was A-type too.
So it was like this balance.
Oh, God. My hair had to be a certain way. I had interesting dynamics because I was also a tomboy.
Tomboy.
But my hair had, honestly, I'm still
a tomboy. It doesn't go
proudly,
away.
For whatever reason.
Got the Uggs on.
In a minute. Wherever the term came from, I don't know how it was pinned because,
Now you can't, it's bad or whatever.
Yeah.
So 4 years old, the dance brings it out of you. You're starting to shell. What happens next? How do you progress through grade school and stuff?
I did pretty good. I was a self-punisher though. So I had to find my parents had to help me find grace within myself. Because I did great academically. I started learning how to, embrace friendships and stuff. But like if I made a grade that I considered wasn't acceptable, which was under a B, I would put myself on punishment. I would tell my friends, girl, you all part of my voice because I'm getting my voice back. Although my husband says he likes that.
It's sexy, girl.
It's sexy. But yeah, I would tell my friends, I can't come out and play.
Wait, you would. And see, I was a fake self-punisher because I would do something and I'd be like, hold up.
Right.
I know I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Bad. I'm going to my room and I'm going to think about it. And I'd be like, hell yeah, man. I'd be like,
did that, right?
I did that. You ain't about to get me.
Girl, yeah.
But you were like legit punishing yourself.
I was legit punishing myself. Yeah, I would stay in the house, with this idea. And that's when I really started learning about grace as a principle and just as a gift too. Because they had to help me out with it. They're like, LaShanna, if you need to be punished, we'll do that. You don't need to do this to yourself. We will be the parents and we will talk through it anyway. But yeah, so I started trying to learn how to find middle ground and balance things. Yeah.
Interesting. I was an opt-in. I was like, just hit me. I was like, don't talk to me to death. Because my parents, like, when I very much think of my father when you talk about that exploratory with your dad. Yeah. Because it's like, can I go? Can you go here? Is it okay if?
See?
And I'm like, man, what the fuck?
Can you just tell me,
and
please?
I'm like, if you do, and I'm like,
right.
So I was very much like, can you just hit me? Can I just not
and get this
like a whole like conversation around logistics, around your moral compass, and I just be like, why can't you be like regular parents?
Absolutely.
So I feel you on that.
Yes, that was my dad. My mother. Academic educator background was the total opposite. She was, these are the rules of life that you must follow. These are the directions that you should go. This is the dynamic that you need to be aware of. Yeah. Completely different. And as I've gotten older, now I'm learning to appreciate what each of them brought. But growing up, that was hard to toggle. Two complete different dynamics.
Yeah. My mom was very much, and still is to this day, academic, right? So these vocabulary words and everything came from her because she never spoke to us as if we were children.
5th grade spelling bee champ right here.
Now, I was all the way dyslexic, but I could, like the verbal, my verbal dexterity was just off the charts. And it always has been, all of us. And just have all of these things. So your parents contributed to you in 2 different ways, but they were also exploratory with how to get you out of your shell.
Girl, you're a great interviewer.
Really?
Yes. You better pull that thing together. Yeah.
So they get you out of your shell and we move on to high school.
Yeah.
What was high school like where you were? Because you also said that you started embracing friendships. That's what I heard you say, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
Because everybody, some kids are like, that's my best friend, that's my best friend, that's my best friend.
For sure. But every other week it changes.
Yeah. So what was your outlook on friendships and how you moved into high school?
Yeah, I had my friends. I had my set of friends. So it was always, I think I have always moved through having just the group, the girlfriend group.
Yeah.
Whether it was elementary, junior high, high school. But then I equally started noticing the change in girls too as we got in high school. I easily made friends with the guys and always had guy friends, very comfortable with them. They didn't require so much. And they were, this is who I am. They were the absolute, what you see is what you get. So by the time high school came, I started having to navigate the dynamics and the complexities of females.
Whoosh.
Yeah.
And how was that for you?
That was challenging because it was exhausting.
Were you in dance in high school?
I was. By this time, I was in dance, music, band. Shout out to all the flautists. I played the flute.
The flautist.
Yes.
The flautist. Got it.
Depends on where you are. They may say flutist or flautist.
I like flautist.
Yes.
So you're a flautist. So you're going the very artistic route. But academics are clean and good to go.
Yeah.
And you're also a tomboy.
I was able to use both sides of my brain.
You left or right-handed?
Yeah. But
you're
right-handed.
Right-handed. Interesting. Usually we lean toward left on that. I'm left.
Yeah. Are you lefty?
Left. Oh, all
My
day.
nephew is a lefty.
Love that.
Yeah.
So you're dancing, you're figuring out the dynamics with women, young girls, young ladies, whatever.
Right.
For me, it was challenging and it helped because I was an athlete, right?
Oh, were you?
And so, yeah, you were kind of encouraged.
What'd you play?
I played softball. Well, I played soccer first.
Okay.
And when I was in West Texas, softball manifested because soccer, I like to say I was so good that the girls that I was playing with really didn't like me because they had been playing comp ball, competitive soccer.
Yeah.
And I came in, military brat, mom retires. I come in and I'm good. So I take people's spot, and I didn't like the mean white girls in West Texas.
Yes.
So I quit, and I thought I was going to like kick it at home and I'm ready to go. And my dad's like, nah. He's like,
what you gonna do?
You're going to do something. He signed me up for softball. I was pissed on so many levels.
Where are you?
But I ended up playing in college, right?
I play recreationally.
You play softball now?
Yeah.
Really? So you still have the athletic vibe in you?
Yeah. Oh, it's still there.
So how does your high school life affect you moving forward?
Let me take a beat on that. Oh, here's a story of which you've encouraged us to share for this season. I was raped my senior year of high school. That was probably the most pivotal aspect of high school and really life moving forward. And that changed a lot in me. Just the natural softness that I possessed, the kindness that I possessed, my confidence about how I had planned to move forward in the world. Of course, my idea and perception of men at that point, you know, trust factor, all of that stuff. So my senior year, while I also was a semester ahead and only required one semester, I think all of that was overshadowed by the experience. Yeah. And also a life-defining moment as it related to relating to girls, because it was one of my friends who sold me out to this guy.
God damn.
Yeah.
And when you talk about it, it's people don't talk about it enough, the fact that women are part of the victimization of other women, including port cities like Houston.
How much we see that woven into a lot of these situations.
And the sickness behind it. Did you tell your parents?
Not voluntarily.
What happened?
I did have a good friend at church who encouraged me to. I think I would have silenced my way through that whole thing.
Yeah.
But I did. I sat down and I talked with my parents, and emotional, but they handled it, and just the level of support and affirming me. Talk about affirming me. They did that. You know, and making sure that I knew it wasn't me.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything that I did to provoke that.
Yeah.
That was my first time ever going to a gynecologist. A lot of firsts.
Yeah. Because they covered you. So it was like,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Had to take care of all of those things. And I consider a life-defining moment. What did
it do when all of this happens? You're talking to your parents, you're saying it's a life-defining moment, but what do you feel like it defined?
It defined who I felt like I needed to be moving forward. And that later on, moving forward, that changed again.
Yeah,
you know, because when you go through something, first you got to deal with the trauma of it if you acknowledge it. You got to deal with the trauma of it, and then you have got to decide, okay, what does this mean for me in my personhood, in my pursuits, in my relatability, how I'm relating to other people? So at that point, I thought I had defined what it meant moving forward. And then, of course, trauma will do what trauma does, which means thrusting you into this achievement mode.
Yeah.
So, you know, I had all of these new bullet points now moving forward, going to college, and what I was going to do, really to prove to myself that it had not affected me like it did.
Right. Like it's the standing up and being like, fuck this didn't win, blah, blah, blah. Where'd you go to school?
U of H.
You went to U of H?
Yes, I didn't go to an HBCU.
No,
yes,
go
Cougs.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. You went to U of H.
I went to U of H.
So when you left for college, did you feel secure?
Well, I was home. I had the option
She drinking her water.
Excuse me. I had the option to attend my family's alma mater, which is Grambling State University.
Graham fam. Yep.
Yes. Yep. But they didn't have the major that I wanted, which was performing arts. At that time, they didn't have a full program.
So everything that happened did not stop the dance.
It didn't.
Okay, good.
What was really pivotal to me with that was the day that I was raped, I was scheduled to dance at my mom's Christmas banquet that night. And I made it happen. I did it. But it connected me. That was just another demarcation that connected me to dance.
Yeah.
Deeper. Because when I entered college, I was going for pre-nursing. And by my sophomore year, I was like, there's something deeper in me regarding the arts that I'm not acknowledging. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, what are my parents going to think if I go to them and tell them that I want to change my major from pre-nursing to the arts? And my parents are baby boomers. They're going to be like, where's the 401k and that? Like, how you going to make them, right? How you going to make the money and how you going to support yourself and be successful? But I was thoroughly shocked. They supported it.
Really?
Yes. They shocked me on that one. Of course, they had questions, but the overarching focus was you got to do what you want to do. You got to do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
And the rest will figure itself out if you're being true to what you need to do. So that was a deep sigh of relief because I really was expecting to have my PowerPoint presentation ready on why I wasn't making this.
My dad, who, what, where, when, why, how. And I'm like, what do you mean? I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. I was really, my dad being that person, I was really shocked. I was expecting my mom to be the emotional responder, but my father to really take me through the criteria. And that was one moment that both of them responded the same. And I was like, who are these people?
You're like, okay.
But
and that was your sophomore year.
That was my sophomore year.
So what is sophomore, like 19, 20, depending on?
I would say for me, it was probably around 19.
Yeah, because you were on the younger side, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I want to go back to when you told your parents, they asked you who raped you and what happened.
Right. I did tell them. I told them the entire situation. Many times, what I've discovered moving forward now, being a women's advocate.
Yes.
That many times your rapist.
Yes.
So my family was familiar with the family of the guy and all of this. And so I shared with them the entire scenario, how it happened, who it was. They asked me if I wanted to press charges. Of course, at that point, when you're in complete victim and shut down and shame mode, you don't want to move on. You just want to move on. Yeah. So I shared with them that was something that I didn't want to relive, let alone publicly. And then being concerned for them because, they were people of the cloth, ministerial and pretty big names in our city during that time. And I just wanted it to go away.
Yeah.
So they supported, they kind of let me navigate it, but with some guidelines.
Yeah.
Getting professional help, mental health support, making sure I went to my prom, because at that point, I wasn't gonna go.
Right.
Still making sure that I still created memories for my senior year.
Positive memories and stuff.
Positive memories, and not the, didn't preach to me about now how you think the Lord gonna use you.
It was none of that. So that was a variant of the PK.
Yes.
Right. The mental health and not like we got to pray this away and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, I know those stories very well.
Yeah, too well.
And I'm proud that that's not my story. I have many, PK friends. I'm married to a PK, so we have a lot of, common conversation, as life would have it, right? But a lot of them can't say the same thing.
Yeah,
that I had.
It's just a variation. So you're dancing, dancing. Not only at 4 created this, but it also took you through, got you through, liberated you in some type of way. You tell your parents, you're like, look, nursing ain't it.
It's
I'm
not
about to
gonna
do this
do it.
shit. They're like, okay. You're like, okay.
Okay.
So what happens next?
Okay.
You're like, let's go.
So I did. That introduced me to the black-white dynamic because I was always the only or one other Black girl in the arts, in the college experience. Of course, I'm at University of Houston, which is very diverse, I must say. But in these spaces, theater,
we're running things.
Dance, was not a dominant face. I didn't see a lot of me. But my confidence started to rebuild. And I learned how to kind of see that proudly. I'm going to come in here, with my thicker self, my curvier self, and make a difference and grab this knowledge and
keep it moving.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's sidebar from the story of life because you said something that hit me. You said my thicker self, right?
Yes.
So how do you feel about your body, even right now?
I love her, LaGina.
Yes.
We've been through a lot.
Yeah.
I did not always feel that way. I was short and corn-fed Southern girl, as we describe
cornbread and collard greens.
Always, okay, with the pepper sauce and all that good stuff. I just, parents will affirm it, but it's just something you gotta feel too. Like you gotta get there.
Like dad saying, "Baby girl, you're beautiful." It's like, shut up.
Like, okay, thank you. You're supposed to say that.
You're supposed to say, yes, I got you.
I had to grow to that point. But at this point, at 46, I am comfortable. She's still changing. I'm in perimenopause now. And what?
That's pre-menopause. Is that pre-para?
Yeah, that para is the precursor to menopause. Okay. Hormones are changing. Your body is changing shape, mood swings. It's a whole bunch of stuff. But I love this body because she's carried me through a lot. And I said to somebody, I had a speaking engagement. And I told these women, don't go and hug another tree if you have not loved you first.
Ooh.
I said, if trees could really respond based on what we're emitting, you go and hug a tree and don't love yourself, you kill that tree. Because the tree knows that what you're emitting is not authentic and genuine.
It's toxic.
Yes, toxicity.
You're giving toxicity away.
I have to learn to love myself. And it doesn't mean that we don't want improvements. It doesn't mean that there aren't things that we'd like to change, but it's just that if we don't get and everything in the culture and in our society is anti-aging, anti-weight, anti-this and that. And if I don't... Antidepressants.
Right.
And so I started learning that if I don't step away from those matrices and really hone into LaShanna, that number one, I can't be about my message. And I can't live well with me.
Yeah.
So I love her. I love her.
Good.
Yeah.
What is your message right now?
My message is for Black women to be well and be whole. It's for everybody.
Yeah.
But specifically for us.
Yeah.
Being well, being whole. I think that's my drive.
Yeah.
In every aspect of who we are, what we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. So we're going back to you being thick.
Yes.
At U of H. You're dancing.
At the Cool House. Yes.
You've got the blessing of the PK parents, all that stuff.
Right.
So what do you do with that?
I had big plans. I had a lot of plans. So I entertained New York because I traveled there a little bit being in the arts. I entertained Broadway. Excuse me. It was definitely going to be some artistic stuff. Touring, just moving about, living my free life. And after college, that was going to be the goal. I did, however, end up opening my first dance studio while I was in college.
Okay.
Yeah. I was working.
Okay.
I had a full schedule at school. And then I was like, I want to open up a dance studio. And I opened it up in a predominantly Black neighborhood. I wanted our girls to have it. But the timing of it all, right?
Was unique.
Yeah. So, I negotiated my own contract, found the spot, whatever. Long story short, she stayed open for 6 months and I had to shut it down.
Why?
I couldn't manage it. I don't think I was ready. My heart wanted that, but it was the timing.
Okay.
Yeah, so with everything that was already on my plate, trying to manage that, being being a staff of one.
Oh, was you? You were the teacher, the door opener, the janitor?
Yes. Administrator, janitor, teacher, advertisement, PR.
What'd your parents say? They laughed at you? My parents laughed at me sometimes. They would.
Do they? Yeah, they had their questions. They were concerned, but they were there for the opening.
Like this.
Girl, they were there like, yes. Listen, whenever she put her mind to doing something, she does it.
Do it.
We are here. Yeah, they were concerned.
So 6 months,
but I did it. Yeah, after 6 months, that was the quickest grand opening and closing ever seen.
Was the traffic in there good, or was it just you could not manage?
I couldn't manage all of the upkeep. I had a few students because I was failing to advertise or have the help or the village that I needed. And in embracing village, we were talking about this offline. Yeah. Embracing village is something that I had to learn to accept. So I was trying to do it all. And then keep up with studies and rehearsals and
hashtag not real.
All of that. It was not realistic. Mm-hmm. Looking back on it now,
it's laughable.
It's laughable. I'm pretty proud of the failure that it was. Yeah. But yeah, it's the timing, which is a lesson to everybody.
Just like I said, that fabulous failure.
That fabulous failure.
I laugh. Like, I think sometimes people veer away from the word failure. And I'm like, no, like I fell like almost every day.
Yes.
And it may be something little. Like this morning, it wasn't my arena to pull the wagon in here. Like, it just wasn't happening.
Oh, really?
And, one of my team members is just looking at me. She knows that I want to do it. So she's letting me do it. But it wasn't my job. And I should have just moved.
Yeah.
But that's like a failure to me. And it's like logistically, I could have thought about it better, something, whatever. And then there's the large things. And I'm like, that had to happen.
Yeah.
For me to even season 4, I guess at some point I'll sit down and talk about it. But season 4, I tried to start shooting last year. One, I did not have all the stuff to do it.
Yeah.
I have a picture. I'll share it.
Thinking back on it now.
Oh, gosh. And I just wasn't in a headspace, right? Yeah. Like, my sister had just passed, and I'm like, I want to. And in my head, almost like when you were talking about your high school experiences, it somewhere in my head, it was like, I need to do this to prove that I'm okay. And halfway through an interview, I was like, I don't need to do this because I'm not okay.
You discovered that.
Right.
Yeah. So, mid-interview, huh?
The mid-interview.
Wow.
My face goes blank, and I'm like,
wow.
Huh, okay, this isn't it.
Yeah.
This isn't it. So, dance studio fails. And what are you, a junior at this point?
I am approaching my senior year.
Okay, senior year. What's going on senior year?
Senior year, I'm preparing for my senior concert, as a
flutist.
Well, dance.
Dance, okay.
Yeah, so at this point, my flute playing has become a hobby because I'm focusing on my dance and my theater. And so, preparing for your senior programs that you have to do in both mediums. Also, I would say that I did not finish college in the time frame that I had planned. So 4 years became 5 years. And every semester, junior and senior year, one concentration was sacrificing for the other. So at one point, I felt like quitting. Like, this is too much. Like, I would have to always choose, okay, theater has got to be the dominant focus this semester because they would not align classes to let you take certain classes simultaneously. So it added another year. So by my senior year, I'm preparing for my theater and my dance presentations, concerts. I'm exhausted. I'm over it. I don't want to walk. You can just mail me my diploma. My senior year was a sloth crawl. You've seen that? Was
Yeah.
the gift with the slaughter's crawl? That was me. I was just like, I just want to be done. At that point, yeah, I was exhausted. Just the mental fortitude that it was taking for a 20-year-old
to get there.
To get there, yeah.
So you get there.
But I got there.
And I'm sure your parents encouraged you to walk.
Yes, they did, honey.
That was my same thing undergrad.
Yes.
I walked, hell, I think I was still drunk walking across stage. Because I went to school in Tuscaloosa, Alabama at Stillman College.
Wow, yes.
And Tuscaloosa is a lick.
Yes.
So I had a cooler full of Hunch Punch on my patio.
Hunch Punch.
Everybody would come by and get cups.
Wow.
And we were running around the city we were just like little savages for one night. And I even took my parents' rental car.
Did you?
Yeah. And I thought I was slick because I got it back in the morning. My parents were like, we knew you took it.
Look.
I was like, look.
How did they be knowing stuff?
Because we're not smart.
Not smart.
Kids aren't
My dad
smart.
went in the garage one time and like just put his hand on the hood. He was like, yeah, you
took that. How long have I been gone, motherfucker? Like, since you know me. And I thought I was slick
you
too.
Don't think.
Because I didn't even leave my truck at the time there. Like, I had a friend come with me.
Okay.
We picked up the car because I don't know how I had a spare key. I think my parents set me up for failure on this. But I got it back to them in time and I made it to graduation on time. So I feel you. You walked the stage.
I did. I walked, took the pictures, had the graduation dinner, party, did all the things.
Did you have a plan when you graduated?
I had a plan to go to New York. Yeah. My plan was, I think every young artist's general plan that now it's time to go out and spread your wings.
Fame.
I didn't fame. Oh, that was my thing. Yes. But I ended up working in a school teaching art.
Okay.
Teaching the arts. And then I ended up opening a conservatory. Yeah.
Okay.
I did it again.
Okay.
This time a little better. So she stayed open. Watermark Dance Conservatory.
Okay.
Was her name. She stayed open a lot longer this time around. What happened was, it was unexpected. Excuse me. I had toured a little bit and I was preparing for this Canada tour. And I was like, okay, I'm going to slim down some of the southernosity of me and be ready for the stamina of this show. And long story short, hired a personal trainer. Guy just had a natural physique, was not certified, ruptured my Achilles tendon. And that's what shifted things.
So you said, okay, you had the conservatory and you were touring. What were you touring? Doing dancing?
It was going to be dance.
And what kind of shows?
I was the only female. I was proud of that, right?
Yeah, of course.
It was a theatrical show with some huge dance numbers and components in it. And so I would have been the choreographer and the performer for them.
Well, shit.
Mm-hmm.
And you were training to
prepare my body, my stamina, my cardio endurance for the run, because we were going to tour, all the different parishes of Canada. And so we had already been we had done one run.
Okay.
So it had been once. And then they came back, with this wonderful opportunity I will never forget. I was so hyped about it. And oh my God, I have a special needs nephew, and I remember leaving they had this big thing for the kids. Oh, it was so great. I left on a high, leaving his baseball game, said goodbye to my parents and said, to the family, whatever, because I had a training session.
Yes.
I was so hyped. Getting ready for this tour. Things are going good. Life is the way I need it to be. It's focused. I didn't have to take too many detours, to reach my passion. And bam, this happens. I didn't even realize it when it happened. Didn't realize that it was what it was. The guy was trying to mimic something that he had seen another trainer do, that, if I'm not mistaken, football players do, the pulling the parachute, running in the open field.
Yeah, but you have to, there's a whole thing with that. There's techniques behind it.
A whole
in a certain way you're supposed to run and shoes.
Assessing that your person is ready for that.
And different size pair. Okay,
yep. When I tell you the brother rigged these machines in the gym to mimic I'm laughing now in hindsight.
I know, but you're breaking my heart. You laughing. I'm like, LaShanna.
In hindsight, I'm like, oh my God. And then you don't think to question.
Yeah.
You know, you're trusting your person. And I heard a pow. And I looked around the gym. Everybody looked because it was just that loud. Like, what was that? And then eventually I went to the floor. So what I learned from my doctor was that the Achilles snapped and disconnected from my heel bone and rolled up into my calf.
It was a clean snap.
It was a clean snap. Complete.
It's a lot
so it wasn't
of
even,
weight and pressure.
It was very much so, yeah. I didn't even have the option of healing naturally versus surgery. They're like, you're going to have to get this surgically repaired. So that was the beginning of a change.
Yeah. You know, when you think about, I ask, I'm like, what's that pivotal moment in life? And I think we have so many of them, but this one in particular, you're back on it. You're saying bye, bye, bye. You're de-southernizing the southernness.
The graduation thing through the graduation, the tassel.
You're like, fuck you, motherfuckers. I'm about to do this shit. Right?
I'm finna live, okay?
And snap.
And snapped.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So where do you go? Are you back home at this point? What happens?
It was very overwhelming. So I had the responsibility of the conservatory. You know, I was teaching on the side, but I had to go through surgery and rehab, physical therapy. I couldn't teach like I wanted to. Depression, just a whole slew of stuff. So I started teaching from the chair. Once I was, fast forward and I was able to be out.
Yeah.
Prior to that, calling in teachers. But it was funny because that was like when skinny jeans were a big thing. And the whole left side of my pant leg was loose because all the muscle atrophy from my glute all the way down to my calf
was just gone.
Wow. It was out of there.
Well, you slimmed down on one side.
Listen, did I not? I did. Yeah.
Wow.
But I remember like just being in a dark place one night and I heard the voice of God tell me, hang on, there's a silver lining. And I was in a dark room because I didn't know what to do from what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I can't keep up with the demands of the conservatory. She was still young at that point. The financial responsibility, missing time at school, which they eventually let me go because I had kindergartners and that whole liability thing. So I was just like, And that is when I landed into my first sector of wellness, nutrition. And how to care for me while going through this devastating experience. And depending on that in order to try to salvage some part of my body, while experiencing so much atrophy. And the guy that eventually became my mentor was a very skilled trainer that happened to be in that gym who had watched the entire thing transpire. And he was like, I cringed when you chose that guy, but it wasn't my place to say anything.
Yeah.
But ultimately took me on as a mentor, as a mentee.
Yeah.
And said, I think the way that I'm watching you heal, I think this would be a good field for you.
Okay.
So fitness, I got into fitness. And
you want to shout out your mentor?
Gerald Sias. Okay. Yes, of course.
Love
I will forever credit Gerald for, y'all want tea? We ended up dating for a few years, okay?
Okay.
Give y'all a little tea. But great guy. Will always give him credit for, seeing that in me. I think that was a part. God knows how to navigate you. So that was a part of plan because it gave me confidence within me.
Yeah.
But going through that, though, also gave me a different type of empathy and sensitivity toward working with people. When people trust you with their vulnerabilities, and there's nothing like the vulnerability of body.
Yeah.
Just like finances. You got to, tell your financial people
and
your
it's hurtful
business.
sometimes.
And it can be hurtful, right? But it helped me to really take what I do serious. When someone trusts to give their bodies into my hand or their issues or what they're dealing with, because a physical goal doesn't come without mental, emotional stuff. It just does not happen that way. But yeah, so fitness and nutrition. I went back to school for the stuff because I don't want to play with people. You know what I mean? And I will say, if I had to wrap it up, that everything that I'm doing now has been from personal experience.
Yeah.
The wellness, the holistic health, like it's always been from a personal experience. And I was like, okay, God, I don't need to be a billboard for every,
Right.
Yeah, I ain't gotta go, but yeah, I think it does something in you. It fuels a different kind of passion. People see not that you're just a great speaker or you're a great clinician or a great practitioner. They see the undertone of that.
Yeah.
And that is what I'm really grateful for. Yeah.
I always talk about the journey and whether it's something that shouldn't have happened, but it did.
Mm-hmm.
Right? High school or the snap. Those are going to be high school and the snap.
Listen.
Or it's the things that do happen and you get the lesson out of them. Even when it's something good, right? Like sometimes people experience things and don't understand the lesson in them.
Yeah.
It just plays into the whole journey. And the journey is important.
It is.
And sometimes the journey allows the empathy that you have and everything else.
For sure.
So let's step back and talk about you and as a person. We asked about the body, but what do you really like about yourself right now?
I like that I'm adaptable.
What does that mean?
And what I mean by that is that I understand how to get along with people. I understand how not to allow my own personality or, as some would use their zodiac sign traits.
Yeah.
To keep me from communing with anybody. Because sometimes we start to brag about those things, or well, I don't associate with such and such, or I don't do this or that, or I don't prefer this.
I was like, what? Why?
Yeah. And I'm like, well, there are some things about the Taurus in me that need to change. So what I like about me is that I'm very adaptable, that I'm going to find something to connect with somebody. Even if you're a racist, you're going to like me.
You're going to like me. You're going to love me.
Exactly.
Like that, right?
Yeah, you're going to, you may not, you're going to respect or appreciate something about me.
Yeah. I feel like that sometimes. Like, and I really do. I'm like, you're going to love me. And it's not, and maybe it's like the good ego in me to understand that I think that there's just a way with everybody, right?
Yes.
So what's something in you right now that other people either really like about you and you're learning how to embrace, or something that you're wishing or working on liking about yourself? And one that I always give a really good example about, without having to quantify, because sometimes I think when you tell people you don't like something, people are like, you should love that about you. Like, shut up, nobody asked you. I love myself. It's fine. Like, I love my body, but this nipple could be bigger or something, whatever it is. For me, my voice. And over the last, especially 2 years.
Like or don't like?
I was indifferent about it. I know it's different, right? And I know it's different. It's just a different voice. And it's different even sometimes when you look at me, you're like, oh, your voice, And so is the last 2 years have gone on. People are like, your voice is so radio, or it's so podcasty, or it's so unique. It works, right? And so I've started just really embracing that from the scope of other people. Not saying I hated it, because it's been mine, but I'm always like, even the first year of the podcast, it took me a whole year to get it out because I didn't want to listen
to yourself.
And I was like, LaGina, that is bad ego getting in the way. I can
understand that.
Right? So what's something in you that you're learning to embrace that maybe other people love about you?
What am I learning to embrace that other people love? I think it's an overcritical analysis of myself, probably giving me so much acclaim over my talent and my skill when I'm always in student mode. Therefore, thinking that you never accomplish or you never reach a place of professionalism. So, like in the arts, always being in student mode in the arts because you're trying to graduate to a certain place. I carry that even after college.
Yeah.
So when I started doing independent things or contracting things or things with other institutions and got that praise, I was still in student mode.
Okay.
And never just allowing myself to be like, you did that.
Okay.
Or LaShanna, you're pretty good.
Yeah.
Like you are pretty good at this. Like the praise or the compliments were never enough. It was hard for me to absorb it and embrace it.
Yeah.
So I think even now I'm learning. I'm still learning that.
Okay.
Yeah.
30 seconds. Give me like 10 things you just fucking done and blown out of the water. Just tell me.
Well, I created a film. I'm very proud of that. What else have I done?
Black Bodice.
By the name of Black Bodice, of which everyone has to see.
Yes.
Very proud of that. I am proud to be a wonderful auntie.
Yeah. Auntie life.
Man, I'm a good auntie.
Auntie life?
Yes.
I'm a great auntie.
Oh, I've got to give myself credit for that.
Yeah.
I would be my own auntie.
Okay. Yeah. I'd want to be my auntie.
I would do that.
Okay.
I'm a great listener. I'm a great advice giver. Trying to keep count here. I'm a great communicator. I love that about me.
What are some accolades?
Some accolades. Well, the film, my business, Holistically Well. And this is so funny because I've worked on doing the opposite. Sometimes when people says, well, tell me about yourself. And you start listing stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not you.
Yeah.
So I've worked to really find the core.
The core.
Yeah. So let me go to the accolades.
Yeah, I want the bragging
like
shit.
That.
You know what I mean?
So yeah, my wellness practice.
Yeah.
I'm 13 and a half years into this field
And
now.
let's note that businesses, as you know,
yes,
fold after a year, 2 years.
For sure, yeah. They do. And so we have been afloat and evolving for 13 and a half years.
Wow.
I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that I've been able to travel the country and do this work.
Yeah.
Not international yet, but it's coming. I'm thankful that I have just created a senior concierge service. I love working with the senior community.
What is the senior box for you?
In terms of age. Really 65 plus.
Bet.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because aging has changed
It
now.
has.
So I love that. So we just added a senior care concierge service for seniors. What else can I say that I've done? I've written some books, some manuals for women's health. I just registered this term called wellness.
Wellness.
So it's Black women doing wellness their way. Wellness. So it's ASS at the end.
Ass.
Mm-hmm.
Southern.
So it's that intersection of wellness and yes. When we approve of something, something that we like, we're like, yes. I am so stoked about that.
Okay.
That being our space for all things health, medical, and all that goodness.
Okay, I'm excited.
Yes. What else, LaGina? I'm sure I'm going to think about it later.
And you're going to be like, 10.
Stuff so let me just round it out.
Yeah.
I've done a lot in the art space. I've created, mounted, and traveled some productions. I'm proud of that.
Yeah. What type of productions?
Stage productions, live stage.
Wow.
Live stage with music, theater, dance, graphics, all of that.
The whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Got them sponsored and were able to pay for my people instead of them just doing it for exposure.
Yeah.
Able to pay those people. Proud of that. And I'm proud of being a good wife. I think that I am.
I can see that.
I think that
You're probably
I am.
a fun wife,
I'm
too.
not great. Oh, I'm the best annoying wife you will ever.
You walk around fucking with them, don't you?
Listen, I am great. Yeah. So I have to get 5 years in, but I have to. I had a good foundation. My parents divorced after 30 years.
Yeah.
But I had a good foundation, and I
Yeah.
think I'm a good wife.
How did the
So I
30
say
years
that.
hit you?
Ooh, the time about the divorce?
Yeah.
It hit. That was my senior year of college.
Wow.
So that was my first time seeing my parents attend an event of mine separated. So I tried to, trick myself. I'm older now. I'm not a kid. I'm not a product of divorced parents as a child. I should be mature and, embrace this and process it and move on. But oh no, it was very subtle. It was very subtle. I broke up with probably the only healthy relationship I'd ever had. Because I just didn't believe in it anymore. Yeah, I had to go through a whole navigation of getting my ideology correct. That didn't have anything to do with me, my life, my decisions, and the brightness that was ahead of me. That was their thing,
That was them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember calling my parents after I graduated high school, or maybe I was graduating college, because my brother, my sister, and I graduated college.
What order are you guys?
I'm the middle. My sister was the
You're
oldest.
Middle child.
Yeah, and my brother is the youngest.
Okay.
So my sister at the time was graduating law school. I was graduating undergrad, and my brother was graduating high school. And I think I had called my parents and I was like, y'all don't need to get divorced because Johnny's leaving the nest. Like, don't nobody want y'all. Y'all need to stay together. Y'all better be happy. I remember saying something very aggressive to them. Oh, yeah. I definitely remember that.
Why?
Because I just knew that a lot of the white kids in my hometown, their parents would get divorced as soon as they were out of the house. And my brother was the last one out. So it was just one of those things. What is
I'm sorry, but hold on.
Okay.
How did they respond to that?
Okay, LaGina. My parents were they expected the shit I said. And I think that's how I've been moving through the world. People are like, well, how do you, my parents have fostered and put up with this shit.
Yes.
My
They know their
entirety
child.
of my
They know
life,
their child. Right.
All three of us were raised by the same parents, different humans.
Yeah.
Different humans. And I was always the one, even my dad was deathly ill, like I threatened his life.
Yeah.
And, I was like, I'm giving you my kidney, motherfucker. Like, that kind of stuff. So they expected it. They totally expected it.
That's LaGina, ladies and gentlemen. That's our baby. That's our middle child. Wow.
So what's something about you that a lot of people don't know or understand that you want people to know and understand, but don't always feel there's space or a reason to clarify?
That I know this has become such a trend, so I even
you're reluctant.
I'm reluctant to say it. Everything becomes trendy, and I don't.
It gets on my fucking nerves.
But that I am still very much so an introvert. There's a part of me that's still that kid that is great with being by herself.
Yeah.
Not the insecure part, but almost kind of like that only child syndrome. Like, I'm so good being by myself. And I think because what I do is so people driven, it's customer service, it's community, it's all of that. There's this idea that I want to be or have to be around people all the time.
Yeah.
And I just kind of want people to know that I'm good. Like, if you see me out and I'm by myself,
You're
or
okay.
I'm having dinner by myself or whatever, I am totally good.
Get your autograph and keep moving.
I'm not depressed. Home is good. I'm good. I just wanted me time.
I love that.
Yeah. I want people to know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, or if I'm low energy, I'm okay. I'm just chilling.
Ooh, I love that. You're just chilling.
Just chill. Yeah.
Would you rather be crazy rich or deeply in love?
Deeply in love.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, why?
I think there's a value in that. Not fairy tale like. So I was 42 when I got married. So I think my perception on love is different. I did a lot before I got married. I had all my independence. I didn't have to. It wasn't the fairy tale thing. I wasn't waiting on a man to rescue me.
Your first marriage.
Yeah.
42.
Yes.
There's hope.
There is hope, honey.
Yes.
I had moved to LA. I was 39. I had already found a fertility specialist because I was like, there are no prospects. I don't know what's going to happen down the road. Let me just go and see this
starting
lady
to consider that
and see what I need to do, which I still advise women in my religious space, because I grew up in purity culture.
Yeah.
Sidebar, detour here. I tell girls, I will still tell them, even if you are waiting for whatever reasons you're waiting for, it's not a reason not to know anything about your body.
Yeah.
Go see what's going on. So, yeah, I would be deeply in love. There's a value in the power of partnership with the right person. And I can build money. I can create that.
Yeah. I vary every season, every year, every day. I do.
But in working with the elderly, I've had patients that are at that final chapter of life and that have shared with me that the one thing that they would have changed was not letting someone in, not having a mate, or they're at the final chapter of their life, or, toward the latter part of living. No one's coming to see them. No one's coming to see about them. They shut everybody out, or they didn't entertain it, or they didn't welcome it, or they had their own ideas at the time. And now in this chapter, it's like I would have done it over. So I think about that now too.
That's profound.
Yeah. I remember those conversations.
That's profound. So this is season 4.
Yeah.
LaRae Infinity Let's Talk podcast. How do you describe the dynamics of women?
Ooh. The dynamics of women are loaded. I think we're still just scratching the surface. The dynamic of a woman is best served without limits because she doesn't know limits. Her anatomy and her being doesn't know limits. Now, when she taps into that, that's dynamic personified. She's who she is times 10 when she recognizes her dynamic. So I would say that it's unlimited power and change. We always have been, from any era, from any culture, from any religious belief. It has always been the woman.
Well, damn.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Season 4. This is what's happening. I want to thank everybody for listening. LaShanna, I want to thank you for being on. Going on this roller coaster, right? Because again, I don't think that our stories are flat.
Yeah. Absolutely not.
And they're worth telling and sharing. So I appreciate you sharing.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for allowing me to.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Y'all, you know how this goes. There's a lot going on in the world. I appreciate you watching. Now, physically watching, we're here.
Hey.
And as you're navigating and figuring out who you're going to be, how you're going to show up in life, what you're going to do better, what you're going to do more of, what you're going to fabulously fail at. I want you to always remember to tell your story, be your own brand, live your truth, and stand in your moment.
All right, y'all. As you've heard, my name is LaShanna Moore. I am fabulously 46 years old, as always, and I hope that y'all have enjoyed and gleaned from this episode. You just listened to my story, my experience, and as I live my truth and stand in my moment on the LaRae Infinity Let's Talk podcast, Series 4, The Dynamics of Women.
Yes! Pew, pew, pew. Peace, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.